everybody. We are right on 6:30, so hopefully you're all with us and you're here for our very, very first live cooking demo where you get to cook along with us. So we did give you the recipe, the ingredients, everything that you're going to need. So tonight together we're going to cook a beautiful spinach, chicken and bacon risotto, which is really good. And the reason we wanted to start doing this was because quite often we invest a lot of money in these amazing products, but then we don't know how to use them properly. So we wanted to make sure that you are using these products. So my name's Vanessa. I've been using these products now for quite some time. So I'm really, I think that I'm actually, doing really well with them, and I want to be able to teach you all how to use them really well as well. I know that some of the things that we do make, sometimes you feel maybe aren't working for you, and sometimes it might just need to be tweaked and you need those extra hints and tips. So hopefully we can give you lots of those tonight as well. So while we're going tonight, we also want you to, leave comments and feedback and all of those things as well. We've got the lovely Rose ready there to answer your questions as we go. So if you've got questions, please feel free to actually ask those. And if you have any ideas of things you'd like to see us cook, because we'd love to keep doing these, maybe fortnightly even. I'd like to say daily, but I don't think I can keep up with that. But if we could do something like this for you fortnightly, is it something that you'd be interested in? And what sort of things do you want to see cooked? So obviously we want to keep our cooking demos to around that sort of 30 to 45 minutes, just because it's that time of night that you want to be cooking for the family. So hopefully tonight you've got the family ready for a beautiful risotto, and they're all sitting there watching as you cook. The thing I love about this recipe is we're not sitting there for hours cooking and stirring like we normally do with a traditional risotto. So let's get started, because we want to get this on. Your family's probably hungry. It is that time of night. So what we're going to do to get started is we're going to add in there our onion and our bacon. So I've just quartered that onion and I've just peeled the garlic, popped that in there. Now what you want to do here is just basically dice it up. So rather than having to get out the knife and the chopping mat and all the things that we need to put along with that, we want to make it super simple. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use our expert mode. So basically the expert mode, if you have a look here, is going to allow you to do any speed and any time and any temperature that you want, okay? So that's the idea of expert. So it's a function that you can use without having to follow the instructions really. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go, into expert, and I'm going to just chop that up. And we're going to chop that up for about 15-20 seconds. Let's go with 15 seconds. So we don't need any temperature here, and we just need to add our speed. And we're going to go at about around speed 13. Okay, so hopefully you've all started using, you'll actually be able to follow this as well. Okay, so let's just hit the auto button, and let's just dice in our onion and our garlic up beautifully. Fabulous. So what I suggest here is just scraping down the sides of the bowl. Now depending on how chunky you like your onion, if you want it a little more diced, you absolutely can add an extra 10 seconds if you want to just brush that down, and then do another 10 seconds of speed. Okay, so I might just do another 10 seconds just so we've got that a little bit more chopped. And if you cry a little bit here, it's okay, because I might cry with you. So just that 10 seconds. Okay, so we're just going to scrape down the sides of our bowl. Now, if you want to add in now your your bacon, you can either pop the bacon in slices or actually dice it to the size that you want. So I would just suggest if we just roughly slice that up, just to the size that you're after as we pop that in. You want to be able to taste the bacon, I think, when you do a recipe like this. So we're going to do that. So then you can just pop your bacon in there, because what we want to do is we want to then saute our bacon, our onion and our garlic all together. You don't want that raw kind of bacon taste in your risotto. So we just want to then saute that off. So pop that in. And we're going to add about 50 mils of our oil. So I like to guess, as you can see, especially when it comes to the wine, you always go a little harder. Okay, so we're going to pop our cover back on now, like so, and then we're going to add that. We're going to cook that on stay on expert. And we're actually going to cook that for 5 minutes, but we're going to drop the speed down to 3, okay, because we don't want to cut it as we're cooking. We just want to saute it, and then we're going to put it on 100 degrees. I'll pop that up there as well. Now, while you're doing something, sorry, talking to the top of my head, while we're doing something like this, so I'm just going to get that started. You don't want to have the cap on, and the reason you don't want to do that is because we want it to almost sort of fry up that onion and that bacon. So if we leave the cap on, it's just going to sweat, it's going to get quite wet and moist, and that's not what the, the consistency that we're after. So the great thing is when we're using our Cook Expert is because this is actually heated with induction, it's actually to the degree in the temperature that you're putting it on. So it's not like cooking on a frying pan where you're putting on the high and low gas or whatever sort of heat it is that you're using, whether it's your gas, electric, induction cooktop. But this actually is letting you pick, choose the exact degree you want your food cooking at. So that's where this is really, you can see already. So that's been on for not even a minute, and that's already steaming. So to me that's pretty impressive because we didn't even give it a chance to warm up a fry pan, which is what we'd normally do. We've just popped that in there cold, and within minutes or within seconds it's actually steaming already. So as I was saying, you don't want that to sweat. We love the induction because of the fact that it heats really quickly and to the degree, and it just means that we have more control. So if you're doing things like chocolates or mousses, those sorts of things, it means that you've got more of a chance to actually make sure that you know exactly what temperature that's cooking on as well. So as well as that, we've of course chosen our speed. So normally, at the moment we've only got our onion and bacon in there, but normally you'd be standing there at your fry pan and you'd actually be stirring and waiting and cooking, and little children could be running around, or the animals, whatever's going on. But this is doing it all for you. So within that 5 minutes, if you needed to go and turn the cold tap on to get one of your children out of the shower, then it's a really great time to do that. Okay, so we've got another 3 minutes of that to go. So when this is finished, we're actually going to add our Arborio rice. So Arborio rice is the rice for risotto. So it just gives it that nice consistency. It's a little bit fatter than a normal sort of rice when you look at the grain of the rice. And then we're going to also add in our wine. Now when you're adding in things like wine, quite often I hear people say, oh, that wine's not very nice to drink, I'll save it for cooking. My tip is don't use wine that you don't like the taste of to cook with, because it's actually going to ruin the flavour of your food, because that taste still does come through. So it's really important to make sure that you get a bottle of wine. So for example, this bottle that I bought is normally about $18 a bottle, but if you go into one of the bottle shops, I paid $10 a bottle for it. So it's really great. I only needed 100 mils, which means that I've got 650 mils left over for the end of tonight, so that I can enjoy my risotto with a glass of white wine. But yeah, so one of my big tips is make sure you're putting in wine that you actually like the flavour of. Okay, the reason we're going to add just our rice and our wine together is because we want to mix that up with our onion and bacon, and we want to get the rice to start to be a little translucent. So it just means that it's going to cook quicker once we've got all the ingredients in there. We are putting in chicken, we are putting in all those extra things as well, so we want to make sure that our rice is on the way in terms of the cooking process. So we've got there 2 minutes to go. Again, I always love the flavour, especially onion and garlic, and then you add in bacon. It's absolutely amazing. So what I also love, and you would have noticed that you can actually pop your cap on the side here and it holds it. So it's a really good little trick. So then you don't, you don't know where it is. It's just here and it's all good to go. Okay, so we've just got another little minute of that to go, and we'll get that underway. Okay, so you would have already had your chicken diced up as well. So in our list of things to do ready for tonight, we've diced our chicken just into nice little cubes. I do have some little extras, and I did mention this when we popped up the post, is I always do some roasted pumpkin, and I just cube it, roast it in the oven, because when you when you're finished with your risotto, you can actually mash it through and it just gives it that little sweet flavour. The reason I like to do it separate like this is because in my family not everyone likes the pumpkin, so it's really good that they can just add what it is that they want to add at the end as well. And that roasted pumpkin gives that beautiful sweet flavour as well. Okay, so 40 seconds to go. Hopefully you're all keeping up and you're all, at the same stage. Like I said, if you've got questions or you're not sure of anything, please feel free to make comments. If you want to see something in particular cooked under that, 30 to 40 minute cooking area, that would be great. If there's attachments that you're thinking you'd love to purchase but you're not sure of, then I would absolutely love you to tell us about that as well. I'm actually going to show you while this is cooking over, once we've got the chicken and everything in, I'm going to actually do the Spiralizer, because it is an attachment that we can purchase, but a lot of people don't know how amazing it is until you actually own it. So I want to show you some things with it tonight. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to move my cap. Actually, I'm going to lock my cap back on. And I'm going to take that back off. The reason I love locking on the cap is because when I take the lid off, it doesn't fall. So that's one thing that I find really important with this machine as well. So I'm just going to scrape down the sides like that. I'm just going to pour in. So you've got your 350 grams of Arborio rice. I'm going to pour in my 100 mils of wine. Now the other thing too is 100 mils, 100 grams, when you're working with liquids, it's almost exactly the same. So if you're kind of going, oh, I don't have anything to measure it with, then just put it into a cup. Tar your scales back to zero with the cup on it, and then just put in 100 grams of wine. And it pretty much almost to the mil gives you exactly the same. So that's a really good little tip too if you don't have either the scales or a measuring cup. So you can do it that way. Okay, so we're going to pop this again on expert, but this time we're going to drop it down to 2A because we don't want to start chopping our rice, so we just want to be stirring that rice. So we're going to pop that on for 3 minutes, and we're then going to drop that down to 2A, and we're going to leave that on 100 degrees. Okay, so that's just going to stir. Again, this is the next process that you'd be doing on your fry pan. So you'd be adding the rice and the wine, and you'd be stirring and stirring and stirring, and you'd have to watch it until you see that it goes translucent. So you'll see when we're using the 2A function, the 2A function just means that it stirs for about 30 seconds, and then it stops and lets it simmer, and then it stirs again. So it just again means that you're not standing there having to constantly stir. It's actually doing all that stirring for you, which is great. Now let's pop those out of the way. Okay, beautiful. And then we're going to add in our chicken and our stock and our water. Now, one of the things I do with stock is I actually make my own stock in my Cook Expert, and I do that by just adding my vegetables. So it's a really good way to clean your fridge out at the end of the week before you do your groceries. That you can actually put all your veggies in there. So your celeries, your carrots, even the celery leaves and stalks and everything that you've got. Any herbs that you want to use, so your basil, your thyme, your rosemary, any of those things. But you can pop it all in there. There's some great recipes out there. But pop it all in there, chop it all your veggies up, and then add your salt and your water and get that to actually reduce. And that's a great way to actually preserve stock in the fridge. So because it's so high in salt, the stock will actually last for quite some time. But what I do is I actually freeze it in small containers and use it as I need it. Because what I find is sometimes if I don't use it quick enough, it can start to go off, and we don't want that. So I actually pop it in little containers in the freezer and then just grab teaspoons out as I need, because it doesn't actually go hard. It actually stays, I've only just pulled this out of the freezer, but it actually stays a little bit soft. So it's quite easy to scoop like ice cream, so it doesn't completely harden. And so it's a really amazing flavour to do that. You can just add in your stock powders, your stock liquid stocks, whatever it is that you need. The reason I'm doing the 800 mils of water is because I'm doing the 2 teaspoons, large teaspoons of the concentrated stock. So if tonight you're going, oh my gosh, I don't have concentrated stock, I bought a box of chicken stock, that's fine. It's about 800 mils of chicken stock or whatever stock that it is that you've decided to do. If you have gone with cubed, powdered types of stock, cubes or powder, then 800 mils of water with you, a couple of teaspoons of that as well. So we've got 30 seconds left of that, just giving that stir. And you can hear, hopefully, that how that sort of every 30 seconds it's starting to go again. and mixing through with that rice and the onion and the bacon and the garlic. Smells amazing. I keep talking about smell-o-vision. Somebody has to invent it because this is absolutely amazing. But you know what? I'm sure that you are all smelling the same thing because you're doing the same thing in your own homes, which is really exciting. So this is why we love the idea of coming to you and giving you the recipe and actually cooking with you, giving you some hints and tips. Okay, so hopefully you're all with me and we're all at the same level. Okay, so I'm just going to take off our cover and again scrape down the sides because you don't want to have bits of rice at the top that never get a chance to cook. Okay, so I'm just going to... Now how good is our spatula? Gets down everything. It's like that spatula the children hate when you make chocolate cake because it scrapes everything out of the bowl. Okay, so we've got our diced chicken. I'm going to add that in. Beautiful. I'm going to add in our our veggie stock. Beautiful. And then we're going to add in our 800 mils of liquid. And like I said, if you've got chicken stock already done, just add 800 mils of it. Okay. So you'll find that as this cooks, you'll start to think, oh my gosh, it's not thick enough, it's quite runny. Once risotto sits for a little while, you'll see that it thickens up and you actually do completely need all of this liquid. Now at this stage, if you wanted to add some sliced mushrooms or some other vegetables to your risotto, absolutely you can do this now. If you're adding things like zucchini, I would suggest cooking it for about 5 to 10 minutes before you add zucchini because zucchini does cook really quickly. But the great thing is that we can just undo our cap, pop it in and then close it back up again. Okay, so we're going to go in now at 20 minutes. I love how quickly this does work actually. We're going to go in at 2A again. And we're going to go, I'm just going to up the temperature just a little bit to 110 degrees. So it just gives it that little bit more in temperature because we really do want this cooked in 20 minutes. Okay, let's start. Beautiful. So because we're using the 2A function, it's going to stir again every 30 seconds and then stop. Now while you're watching this, because of the fact that we've got the glass top, which is fabulous, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, my chicken's starting to chop a little bit, or if I've added carrots and they're starting to kind of dice a little bit, they shouldn't, but if they did, just drop it a bit down to 1A, which means that it doesn't stir quite as often and that little bit slower. But honestly, it'll be absolutely fine sitting on the 2A for the next 20 minutes. So the thing you don't want to do is obviously turn this into porridge, which is why we use our 2A function, where it stirs, stops, just like you would be if you were doing it yourself on your stovetop. Okay. So that's going ahead. So I'm just going to get rid of all of these things so that I can make more mess. Okay. So, as I promised, I wanted to show you how we use our spiralizer. So what I find is when you buy, when you buy a new product and there's all these fancy things and you see it in action and you think, wow, I have to have that. It all comes to your house and you think, oh my gosh, where do I start? How do I use it? What goes with what does what? And that's what I found when I started first using our Magimix and Cook Expert and all of the fabulous things that come along with it. So it's trial and error. And what I wanted to do was show you. So for those of you that already own the Spiralizing set, I hope that you're using it. We do have 3. So we've got our spaghetti, and then underneath you'll see, because I can actually put those onto the bottom, we've got our tagliatelle, and we've also got our fusilli. So what basically this does is spaghetti is great when you're doing things like zoodles. So quite often if I do a spaghetti bolognese, I love just doing zucchini noodles underneath instead of the actual pasta. If you're doing even a stroganoff and you wanted to add vegetables, just zoodle your carrots and your zucchinis and add that into your stroganoff. You can pop them into boiling water for a couple of minutes or pop them into the microwave for a minute or two, and they're beautifully cooked and they're a beautiful addition to all those sorts of things that have got that beautiful sauce in there as well, and just a bit of a healthier option if you're not wanting to do the pasta. But who doesn't love pasta? Okay, so I wanted to show you, so this is our food processor, our large bowl. So we've got our large bowl on our food processor here, and we've got the Spiralizer set. So the Spiralizer set comes with, you can see this is actually different to our normal food processor top. and it's designed to put in your vegetables, your zucchinis, carrots, sweet potatoes, those sorts of things. So that comes with the Spiralizer set. Now the other important thing is just on here, if you can, I don't know whether you can see this because it's black, but on there it actually says Spiral Expert. Now what I love about that is I'm one of those that needs those instructions because it's just easier. There's so many little parts and pieces to different products that I want to know what goes with what. Okay. Now when you actually do store this, it will actually clip into your Spiral Expert collection. Okay, so it's another great way to keep everything together. But if you ever get confused or someone else has washed up, wouldn't that be great? You actually know what you're doing. So we're just going to pop that in there, and then we're going to pop in here. So when you have a look at this as well, you can see we've got the two identical sides here, but then we've got this part here which is open, and this part here is designed to be closest to the handle, which is where we're going to then pop into our blade. So you just pop that in there, and that's where we're going to then slide our top in to make sure that that's locked. Now remembering that when this isn't locked in here, and I'll pop the blade in a second, but when that's not locked in, sorry, let's try that again, let's lock our bowl in. But if this here is not locked in, this will not start. So even if I press auto start and it's saying to me, please close the lid. So if you're going to be leaving the kitchen and you've got little ones and you've got blades in there, just pop the top off, okay? So it's just going to make it really safe. A little hand probably could get in there. So let's just be super safe. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with spaghetti. So that's the smallest. This is what we do our zoodles and things with. So it just sits in. There's no clipping, screwing it in, nothing. It just sits into the top there like that. So nice and easy. And then, like I said, you've got that larger that opening that slides into, and then we're going to lock that in. Okay. So, oh, my cap. Always something missing. I've got it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop, I've already washed my zucchinis, my carrots and everything. Just going to chop the ends of those off. And then I'm going to pop in my zucchini. So you've got your hat, I like to call it the hat, so it goes on the top. And you need to make sure that you're using this because again, you don't want to be putting your fingers in there. And it's also got little spikes in there, so it'll actually sit into the top of your vegetables. So that just sits into our zucchini like so. And then we're on food processor. You just need to hit go. So you don't actually get to choose the time or the speed or anything like that. It's just food processor. It's automatic. It does it all for you. Now hopefully you can see as that is going to come out because I want you to see. Beautiful zucchini noodles. And then I'll show you how beautifully they come out. And in terms of washing up, it's really simply a bowl and a blade. So it's not really a big wash up set. Lock that back on. So you can see now our beautiful zucchini noodles that are ready for our whatever fabulous sauce you've decided to put under there. You could actually put your zucchini zoodles under your risotto for that extra veg if you wanted to as well. So that's another nice little addition to our risotto if you wanted to. You could add it to anything. I always find that kids will eat things that are cut in a fun shape, and this is a super way to be able to do carrots and zucchinis and those sorts of things as well. So that is our spaghetti. So now, oops, probably could help if I put this part in. So now we're going to do, see, we're all still learning. Now we're going to do our tagliatelle. I kind of sometimes wish I was Italian so I could say that and it sounded really good, but that's my way of saying it. So we're going to pop that in. We're going to pop our top back on as well. So basically the tagliatelle is just a little bit thicker than our spaghetti, so it just gives us that little bit thicker. So if you are planning to do something that you're going to just add that as the vegetable and you want to add your potatoes and things to it, it's a little bit thicker than actually doing it with our zoodle. The other thing too is that is all that we've got left. So if you actually didn't want to cut the end of your zucchini off, you could actually use that end to put your spike into, and then you're pretty much wasting absolutely no zucchini, which is great as well. I'm going to find little bits of chopped up stuff in my kitchen later on, so I throw them out. Okay, so now we're going to do our carrot, and we're going to do exactly the same. Actually, I'm going to spike that first because carrot's a little bit harder. And that's just to give you control. Otherwise, your carrot's not going to go through there properly. It's going to go crazy on you. So again, we're just going to go auto. That's not what it force. I'm just holding on to it. One hand and two-handed. You don't want to be too forceful with it. Okay. And here we go. Again, tiniest bit of wastage. Actually, we could give that to the rabbit. Okay, so I'll just take that off, and I just want to show you. Our carrot is going to. So you can see they're just that little bit thicker than what our spaghetti, zucchini noodles are, and it just gives you that little bit of extra. Carrot, I guess, in each slice. So beautiful, beautiful. Like, look at that. Like, you couldn't get any better than that. Now, this is my favourite part, okay? My children fight over this part. It's called the worm. So it's still a carrot, but they fight over it. It's like the oyster of a chicken. They actually fight over who's going to eat the worm. So, you know what? Hide it in their dishes and see who finds the worm. Maybe the worm finder gets a prize or something. I don't know. Okay. So there we go, we've got our carrot and our zucchini. So, my children are going, how would you say that, Mum? Don't tell everyone. How embarrassing. Hopefully they don't see this video. Okay, so next we're going to do our fusilli. So our fusilli gives us that wider cut, and I'll show you what exactly that's going to do for us in a minute. Let's just have a little look at our risotto. Oh, we're halfway there. Going to have a little look. So I'm still happy with the size of my chicken. And my bacon and everything going on in there. But like I said, if you feel like it's chopping a little bit too much, if you just go over here, and while it's on, you actually can still change the speed. So if you want to go down to 1A, it'll just stir it that little bit less, but it still continues to cook. Okay, so up to you. Okay, so now we're going to do our fusilli. Now, potatoes are really hard to get in the perfect shape to fit. Oh my gosh, it's the first potato I've ever bought that's fitted perfectly. But quite often it's hard to get the potato that fits perfectly. Don't be afraid to slice the sides of your potato off if you need to be able to manage to buy 2 potatoes that fit. But don't be afraid to slice the sides of your potatoes off. What I did find is don't cut your potato in half. It doesn't give you the full circle then, and it's really hard to use if you're planning to do other things with it. But if you can get the full circle, so again, I've already washed these potatoes because I want to use them for something fabulous. And what I would do with this is something like a potato bake, and I'll show you how this works. Okay, so we're ready to go. I hope you can see that coming out. It must know that I'm live on Facebook or somewhere because it never falls as well for me ever than it did just then. So I must have nailed the perfect size potato. Normally it still falls beautifully, but I have to put it together a little bit just to, you know, trick me. Okay, so I want to be able to show you what I mean. So we've got a whole potato, which is now, how amazing is that? Isn't that just like the most amazing thing ever? So what I do, oh hang on, I'll just take the worm out for the kids to fight over. We'll put that over there for them. Okay, so what I love about this is it's a fancy, fun way of doing something like a potato bake. So what I quite often do is I'll do sweet potato and potato, and I will do a sweet potato for you too, just so you can see that it's not hard to do, even though that sweet potato is a little bit harder than a potato. But I just pop that into my baking tray with my sweet potato. My kids don't like sweet potato, but they'll eat potato. So I'll do one half of the baking tray with potato, the other half with sweet potato, and I'll just pour some cream with a little bit of chicken stock through it over the top, sprinkle on some fresh herbs if you like, pop it into the oven, and it bakes just like your potato bake. Pop cheese over the top as well. If you want to be fancy and add a little bit of bacon, whatever it is you want to add to the top, you can do that. But it's just, imagine that coming out as your potato bake. Absolutely amazing. So the other thing you can do with these, air fryers are a really big thing at the moment. And what you can do is, if you're going to bake these in the oven by themselves, so it's a bit like the chip on a stick at the Easter show. So if you're planning to do that, you absolutely can put this onto a stick if you like. But I suggest that you make sure you soak it first in a little bit of vinegar and water, because what that'll do is help take that starch out, which means that they'll bake better in the oven or in your air fryer. So air fryer is a really great way to do these, because the air fryer just manages to cook everything absolutely fabulously. So a really good way to get these nice and baked. But let me just show you, while we've still got a little bit of time, what are we at with time? Oh, 6.5 minutes. I hope your family is standing at your feet asking when dinner's ready, because it is absolutely not far away. Okay, I'm going to pop that back on, and I'm going to show you a sweet potato. Okay. Oh, see, there's a little bit of potato left over. I don't know whether rabbits like potato. Okay, let's go again. Perfect. See. But again, exactly like our potato, and imagine it then popping that into your air fryer or into your potato bake. But you can see how very quickly, if we just want to zoom in on that, we've been able to make our zucchini noodles, our beautiful tagliatelle, and our beautiful fusilli with our potatoes, our sweet potatoes, carrots, and of course our zucchinis and the worm. Okay, so great addition if you don't already own. If you do, please start using it. I hope this did help you to actually think, you know what, it's time to get that out. It's a really fun way of doing your vegetables and being able to make those things as well. So we've got, I think we're down to about 5 minutes, which is fabulous. We're doing really well. We can pop that on. Okay, so as well as, of course, our amazing Cook Expert, there are lots of attachments that you can purchase with this one here as well. So one of my favourites to use is the steamer. Now there is a small steamer that comes with your Cook Expert, which is this one here. And I have to say, I have finally nailed the perfect poached egg in here, okay? So I'm going to, hopefully you've got a pen and paper or you'll re-watch this to remember how I do it. But basically I fill up my Cook Expert to about 1.8 litres. And I know it sounds like a lot of water and a waste of water, but I'll tell you what I do with that water. So you pop that in your water, in there, boiling water. Okay, so the water needs to be boiling. And then we pop our expert onto the steam menu, and then we pop our eggs into here. So I just have some little silicone egg, or silicone cupcake forms they actually are. And I just do a little bit of oil in them so they don't stick. Pop my eggs in there, so I can get about 6 eggs into here in those little silicone moulds. And then I pop them in you know, the steamer basket into here. So great because it's got the handle. You're not trying to pull anything out without, you know, by burning yourself. Pop those in there. So you set that to steam 7 minutes, 110 degrees, and they come out absolutely perfect. So if you like, this is perfect as in you like the runny centre, absolutely perfect. So it took me a couple of goes to work out how am I going to poach eggs, because it's one of my favourite things in the morning, but absolutely amazing when we use our Cook Expert with our poaching basket as well. So great one, great tip to be able to use that. Now if you're wanting to do things like your steamed salmon, steamed fish, we actually have an extra large steam basket that you can purchase that can go onto the top of the machine as well. So you could actually be using the steam basket that I showed you, as well as the base of our Cook Expert, as well as another steamer on top. So it actually gives you quite a lot of levels and multi-levels of our steamer as well. So great opportunity for you to be able to use lots of things at once. Okay, so we're down to, what have we got? Oh, only 2.5 minutes. I do talk a lot, I think. But you know, keep please asking us questions. We want to have those questions. Please keep making your comments. Please let us know what you actually want to see us cook in the future, and we'd love to be doing something like this more often. let us know, give us feedback. If it wasn't enough information beforehand, please let us know, because obviously we want to be able to master our in-home cooking classes. So we want to make sure that happens as well. So if we could make sure that if you could do that for us, that would be fabulous. So we're going to, so you can hear that's just still stirring away and bubbling. Again, I hope you can all smell this in your own homes and that you did cook along with us tonight. If you're watching this and you didn't get a chance to cook along with us, the information, the menu, everything's still going to, the ingredients are still going to be on there. So you can just have a look at that. And we'll also put this video on there as well, so if you're struggling with the information as well, you can follow that. But really great way for you to start using and loving your Cook Experts and making sure that you are getting the best out of them. You did spend a lot of money on these products, so you want to make sure that you're actually using them as well. So you've seen the amazing Spiralizing here tonight, and we're then going to add the extra things that I talked about. So one of the things I love putting through my risotto is baby spinach. Baby spinach wilts down to almost nothing. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. So if I put spinach in a meal for my small people in this house, they probably wouldn't eat it. It's not quite the thing you can hide as well as grated up zucchinis and carrots and things. So what I do is I just add the spinach as depending on who's eating it. The same as when I do the roasted pumpkin. I have a father-in-law that refuses to touch anything with pumpkin in it. So by doing it this way, he doesn't actually have to have pumpkin. So I'm going to get a bowl. We're pretty close to the end of this now, 40 seconds. Oh my gosh, who's hungry? I hope your kids are already sitting at the table waiting for their dinner. We're just going to pop, you could fill this whole bowl with spinach and it still wouldn't be enough because it wilts down to nothing. But I'm just going to pop that in the bowl ready to go. I'm going to grab from here the second drawer of utensils. You don't want to see it. I'm glad you can't see this. There's a lot of utensils in there. Okay, so we're going to grab that. Now I also did grab, and I didn't put it in the recipe because it's completely up to you whether you want parmesan. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't. But I've just got some grated parmesan there that you can pop on at the end as well. And I've got about 4 seconds to go, which is absolutely perfect timing. Okay, so normally when I do my risotto, I would let that sit for a few minutes just because it does need to sort of settle down a little bit. And I'm going to, it's bubbling and it's absolutely amazing. Do you see that? The cap didn't fall out. Isn't that amazing? What a clever invention. Okay, so I'm going to give this a little bit of a stir. Now, I don't want to pick the bowl up and tip it all over myself or anyone else, but can you actually see, if we just zoom in there, how absolutely amazing that risotto looks? Okay, so we're just going to, like I said, normally if I was you, I wouldn't serve it straight away. I would just give it 5-10 minutes just to sit in its juices. I'd leave the lid on as well, but obviously you don't want to sit at home watching me talk for another 10 minutes, so I'm just going to show you how I would serve it up. So I've got my beautiful baby spinach leaves there, and I'm just going to pour that over the top like that. Beautiful. But I really do suggest that extra sort of 5-10 minutes of just sitting time. No more cooking, you don't need to cook it anymore. And I'm just going to then stir that through, and we'll zoom in just a minute. Or you can zoom in now actually and watch, especially when you're watching how that spinach just wilts away in there. And you'll find when you set it for another 5-10 minutes, it'll just make it that little bit thicker as well. But do you know what I love about the risotto in the Cook Expert is it's beautiful to heat up the next day. So quite often when you buy, risotto, it's not that great to heat up the next day. It's quite gluggy and it's not really, the consistency that you want. So then I would just add in some beautiful pumpkin, and I actually like to mash that in a little bit. And you'll see then it's gone from a nice looking risotto to an absolutely beautiful looking, colourful. So we've just turned our chicken bacon risotto into a chicken bacon pumpkin spinach risotto, just like that. Now the other thing quite often I do is I roast in the oven some feta. And it might sound strange, I don't know whether many people roast feta, but it's absolutely amazing in our Cook Expert as well. So do you want to zoom in and have a look at that? how amazing that looks. Oh, hang on. We do need to put a little bit of parmesan on that as well. And voila, we have a beautiful risotto in 20 minutes in our Cook Expert. So thanks. So I'm hoping that you all got lots out of tonight. And one of the things that we did promise is that anyone that is on our live tonight can actually have the chance to win one of our fabulous cookbooks. Now, it won't be the Cook Expert book that comes with your Magimix Cook Expert. It'll be another cookbook. So what we're asking is, I'm going to ask a question, and I want you to answer that. And the first 5 people to answer the question will be the winners. So it's not going to a draw. The first 5 people that answer the question, and we can see in the comments exactly who comes first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And we will then contact you, and we will let you know if you're a winner and get your details from you as well. So my question is, are you ready? Are your fingers ready? Okay. I've given you enough time. Okay, I want to know, what kind of rice do we use to make risotto? Go. Comments, 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 we're coming in. You better be quick. I think that could be it. That's how quick people type. Okay, so thanks so much for being with us today. Absolutely loved having you. I love to be able to continue to do this. Please let us know if you've got comments. If you've got things that you'd love to see, the page will still be open after this as well, so you can keep making your comments if you think of anything. But we've absolutely loved bringing this to you. I hope that it's given you another family meal that you can share. It's, you know, this meal will easily feed that sort of, you know, 4 to 6 to 8, depending on the size of the family. But it's a really great meal. You can see, I can't tip the bowl. It's really afraid that I'm going to burn myself. But you can see, and you would have if you're cooking this at home, it is really quite full to the top. So it really is an amazing, amazing meal that you're going to be cooking and sharing with the family as well. So hopefully you got lots out of tonight. Looking forward to seeing you again, in a couple of weeks with another recipe. And thank you. Bye for now.